It should not be revealed. Jungkook's house is finally covered by the media again. Jungkook's house was never intended for public consumption again. After months of being overshadowed by his personal activities, music projects, and military schedule, the Korean and international public suddenly turned to one thing that should have been done a long time ago. His new home, which is touted as one of the most mysterious residences belonging to a K-pop idol. And not without reason. In recent days, local media have heated up the conversation about how the house is not just a place to live, but a symbol of Jungkook's long journey from his deprived childhood to the point of global megastar that he managed to achieve on his own. This article starts from a Korean media upload that suddenly rediscusses old reports about Jungkook's home interior design. Not a random report, but a report that highlights how the house was built. Not for show, not for popularity, and not just to show the results of his hard work, but for a more sentimental reason: family. This is what makes the rumor re-stick by itself. As soon as the news emerged, fans immediately stormed the comment columns, trying to understand why the media was again talking about something that should have been tightly closed by the agency and even by Jungkook himself. Behind the doors of the house, which has never really been seen clearly by the public, many argue that Jungkook is hiding something much bigger than just luxurious interior design. The media began to connect bits and pieces of old information. How Jungkook once revealed that he wanted to have a comfortable home for his mother. How he told stories about a childhood that made him no longer want to see his family living in trouble, and how he always avoided discussing private property because he felt it was not something worth exposing. But instead of dimming, rumors actually developed into a big discussion in cyberspace. Speculation began with a small sentence in the report. This house was designed based on the owner's request for the comfort of the mother. The sentence triggered a huge wave of inevitable interpretations. In the closed world of Korean entertainment, this kind of detail seems to be a small door that reveals many big stories behind it. It didn't take long for the public to realize that the house was not just a symbol of success, but a symbol of love that Jungkook secretly, dedicatedly, and almost never openly conveyed. The media began to dive back into Jungkook's long journey as a singer who pursued a career since he was a teenager. They again compared how in the past he could not even afford to buy something for his family without thinking about the price, until today where he was able to build a magnificent house in an elite area. But all that is not for himself. This is not a house built for parties, not a residence styled for the sake of glamour, and not a place filled with excessive aesthetics as celebrities usually do. The house, according to some reports, was deliberately created with a minimalist, private, and warm concept, like a shelter, not a stage. Shortly after the report was circulated, fans began to reassemble the puzzle that had spread across various platforms. They recalled an old interview that went viral, when Jungkook said that his mother was the one who always asked, "Are you okay?" even as the world cheered him on with praise, applause, and loud cheers. They recalled how Jungkook always referred to his family as the biggest reason he survived in the cruel world of entertainment. All of these details, which were initially just emotional fragments that were missed, now feel like an important part of one big story that is becoming clearer. The house is not just a building, but a space where Jungkook finally pays back to his mother for all the sacrifices that were once made. But the media didn't stop there. Further reports revealed that the construction of the house actually involved a long process and was carried out with great care. Some sources claim that Jungkook requested a special section inside the house for the purposes of his family's privacy. Some say that her mother has her own room designed with special attention. Others say that the house has a high-level security system created so that the family can live quietly without interference. It was even reported that some spaces in the house were never shown to anyone other than the closest family members. This further reinforced public sentiment that the house should never have been discussed openly by the media. Many fans began to feel that this news was too deep, too disturbing Jungkook's private space that he had been guarding desperately. But precisely because it was too private, the house became more and more mysterious and more tempting for the public to discuss. The media knows full well that Jungkook's name is always a magnet for attention, and one small detail can develop into a big issue. On the other hand, fans highlighted how Jungkook has always tried to protect his family from the spotlight. He rarely reveals his personal life. Even when the media asks for in-depth interviews, he always leads the conversation to his music, hard work, or future career. Therefore, when his house was discussed again, many felt as if something Jungkook was trying to hide was again forcibly pulled to the surface. Even so, not all reactions are negative. There was also a huge wave of comments from the public praising Jungkook's dedication. They say that the deeper the house is discussed, the more obvious it becomes that it is not just a luxurious property of a celebrity, but a monument to a child's love for his mother. The house became a symbol of Jungkook's victory not over the entertainment world, but over his own past. The media may see it as an interesting issue, but for many, it becomes precisely a touching story about how a child returns unconditional love. Finally, although this news seems to be widening and heating up, one thing remains unchanged. The house should indeed not be revealed too much. There is a line between celebrity and personal privacy, and Jungkook seems to be one of the few public figures who still holds that line. The media may be able to discuss his house as often as they want, but they will never fully understand what the house means to the man who built it. For Jungkook, the house wasn't for the cameras, it wasn't for the public, and it wasn't for the headlines. It was the place where his love for his mother found its most tangible form. But precisely at this point, public attention is increasingly difficult to control. Whenever the media alludes to Jungkook's house, the conversation on the internet turns wild. Some say the house was designed with the security standards of a head of state in mind, while others claim that Jungkook turned down every offer to shoot the interior of the house from luxury magazines that wanted to feature it. That said, the offer was no joke. Huge paychecks, global exposure, even an editorial concept designed specifically for him. But, as is Jungkook's habit of always choosing a path different from public expectations, he rejected everything without hesitation. For Jungkook, the house was too valuable to be used as a commercial asset. He always showed that some things in his life are not for sale, not for display. And the house is one of them. Even when some celebrities flaunt their mansions on YouTube, variety shows, or documentaries, Jungkook remains silent. He chose to leave the public guessing, leaving everything an untouched mystery. And that decision actually made the same house, which should never have been big news, come back with more excitement than ever. The media tried to dig further, disassembling the chronology of the purchase of the house several years ago. They search archives, tax reports, even information from the neighborhood. From there, a series of stories emerged that made the public even more curious. It is said that the neighbors rarely see activity at Jungkook's house. No flashy interior traffic, no celebrity parties, no artist guests in and out. The house is quiet, orderly, and feels very private, as if it was built not for public life, but as a hidden oasis for someone who has lived under the spotlight for too long.